Welcome to another weekly Forex forecast, and we start as usual on the DXY on the weekly time frame. It does not look too good for the dollar. We ended on a quite a strong bearish weekly candle, and we made a new low going down to the 4-hour time frame. We discussed this area multiple times, and we were actually looking for some form of reaction from here actually. And we can see now price just made a new low and remained below and is now starting to accumulate more volume, and that looks more like a bearish continuation right now. We do have a small gap here, and we have a clear area of interest here, a clear liquidity area here. And as long as price is trading within this range in form of some form of a two-touch bearish continuation or something like that, that would be enough for the next bigger leg to the downside. I will change my bias if we see the DXY snapping back in with momentum and trading above this liquidity area and showing some form of bullish continuation. Then I would entertain long plays in the dollar again. Right now I'm more neutral with this positioning. It could go either way, but we do know that it most likely will accumulate a little bit more volume in this area before we see the next bigger move, because we did not see an immediate reaction from this level. On Euro US dollar, the inverse picture on the weekly time frame, we can see we tapped into this area of interest here to the left, and we have quite a strong bullish momentum week. We did accumulate some volume in this area, and we are now trading above this area of interest to the left. Going down to the 1-hour time frame, we see we did not get an immediate reaction on this level. Instead, price started to stall in this area, and right now I'm looking a bit more for price. We have here a clear base, a liquidity area. We left the gap here, and I'm now looking more for a bullish continuation right now. So if we get if price is coming down, closing this gap and showing some form of rejection on this area, finishing this overall bullish structure, then I'm leaning towards a long play. However, if price is starting to show bearish momentum followed by continuation, preferably even below this area here, then we change bias and we are looking for shorts. But in general, as long as we're trading within this area here, I'm leaning more towards long plays. Pound US dollar on the weekly time frame, it's a similar picture. Of course, we had some reaction here on this area of interest to the left. We tapped the area, we did not close outside. However, we still had a very strong bullish momentum candle last week. On the 4-hour time frame, what is interesting to see here, we discussed this structure here before. We had this 1, 2, 3 potential reversal structure, but it's nice to see because we did not tap in any significant area to the left. This sell-off was not did not go too far. We just closed, basically we retested the end of the structure, then failed to continue and had a very nice bullish momentum run. Here was a nice long trade, but I did not have pound US dollar on watch last week, so I did not take this trade. However, right now you can see here we have the second slightly bigger consolidation here in this area, and price did enough here on the 4-hour time frame for the next move to the upside. So ideally we see price stalling in this area a bit longer and forming a clear visible bullish continuation. That would be a 4-hour structure, and then enter along in this area. This would be ideal. However, for a touch, if it's a momentum play, price here did already enough with this candle, so we can go down to the lower time frame, and if we can see anything which is basically possible to manage. So if we get in Monday during Asia session and price is starting to form a bullish continuation, preferably through this area, which then allows a risk entry and allows us to manage the trade to this high, then I would entertain a long in this area already, even though I hope price coming back down one more time and accumulating more volume for the next bigger move. But this trade alone would make sense if the momentum just kicks keeps on going early next week. US dollar Canadian, we had that on and off on watch for quite some time. I'm starting here again on the weekly time frame. We were looking for price to close the gap here to the low because there is nothing of significance here to the left. And we then had a very strong bullish momentum week, and now we are retracing it. But we did not close more than 50% below the previous week. So it's kind of neutral territory. But looking on the lower time frame, we can see here on the 4-hour time frame, we did retest this area. We discussed that before in form of a 1, 2, 3. We had the initial sell-off into this mid target here, and then we left this liquidity area, and price then came back up in form of a V shape and showed clear reaction from this area. We retested the area but closed on a very strong high test candle here. Still bullish, but that's a huge week. So going to the 1-hour time frame, for me in that regard, price did actually enough with this V-shaped recover for a further sell-off, a potential further sell-off. So again, it's neutral price action because we are coming from an area of interest here to the left. We had an impulsive move. We tapped the liquidity area, but we showed some bearish reaction. So if I get a deliberate 1-hour continuation in this area, which I can then manage to this low, and I will definitely happy enter and in this area here. As long as I can manage it to the first inflection point, I'm okay to continue the bearish run. Euro Canadian on the weekly time frame, we actually identified these two areas before. So we are now between these two bigger, higher time frame value areas, and we just so closed above. So going down to the 4-hour time frame, we can see again, it's a lot of kind of neutral price action. We are in areas where it would make sense for one more move to the upside, but it can also start selling off aggressively. Right now here we can see we had a nice move into the first higher time frame value area and then a first initial reaction, but we failed to continue. Instead, we made even a new high and then again failed to continue to the upside, but we ended on a strong week. So going down to the 1-hour time frame, we can see here we have some areas of interest. We have here a potential base. We had here a small running channel. We left the gap here and we show some reaction. So if we get down like that one more time, preferably in a more corrective manner, so that could then become a middle section for the next leg to the upside. If we see strong bearish reaction early next week, with the more momentum, the better. I would change my bias. As soon as we trade around in this area and we get a bearish continuation here on the 1-hour time frame at least, then I will definitely change my bias for Euro Canadian dollar short. But as long as we trade within this area here above this level and with corrective price action, I'm still leaning more towards the long for price to tap into the next higher time frame value area here. Everything will change if price just moves straight into this area, breaks back in. Of course, then we know we take the sign of the market and we start shorting because we are prime positioned for a short. But as long as we don't tap this area here, yeah, we are kind of neutral. Euro yen on the weekly time frame, let me refresh here. We can see that we are still in a bullish momentum run. So we had quite a lot of bullish weeks now, and we are trading outside this whole price action here, and there is enough room for price to move into the next value area. We do need some more volume accumulation because I don't think like after such a strong run, we most likely will see some form of price stalling before we see the next leg. So we are positioned prime again. It's neutral because of that. And here on the 4-hour time frame, we can see price is already starting to stall, but we are trading completely outside this area of interest we identified before. We have here a potential bull flag in the making. So if we get something like that here on the 4-hour time frame, tapping this area here again, or even building a bigger structure into these areas here in form of a preferably a near miss initially, and we get something like that over the course of next week, then I'm definitely happy to enter along in this area here. Pound yen on the weekly, it's a bit slow today. We are here approaching the next higher time frame value areas. We have a gap here to the next higher value area here, and we are also here in a bullish momentum run, not as strong as we saw here in before in euro yen. We are just the second week, but going down to the 1-hour time frame, we can see here it's a similar picture. I'm looking now here as well for a bullish continuation, price coming back one more time, and then that would be enough for me to enter along here if I get a clear rejection, a candlestick reversal pattern in this area, preferably also on the 4-hour, a bit more weighted time frame, because the structure here is already big enough to warrant a 4-hour entry. We have here another area of interest, which is basically retesting this high here to the left. So we can see that the same like we discussed before on euro yen would make sense. So if price is starting, let me clean that up first. Okay, sorry. Come on. Okay, here. If price is starting to show a bigger bull flag, a 1, 2, 3 structure into this area here, then yeah, that would be even better. The longer it takes here to accumulate volume in form of corrective price action, the further we might go. Swiss francs yen on the weekly time frame, we are on highs. We are here trading above the last previous higher time frame value area. We have very strong momentum. We have a strong gap here, a large gap here. And looking on the 4-hour time frame, we did not get an immediate reaction. So we are still trading above the previous high, and we are trading outside this whole price action here. On the 1-hour time frame, we are so far in the run on almost all-time highs. Will I enter along in this area? It depends. If the price action is very clean and we see the other yen pairs moving higher and we get a clear price action in this area here in form of a bullish continuation, I would entertain along. However, of course, we are position prime for sells. So if we see some bearish momentum kicking in and on the lower time frame, at least again here 1-hour time frame bearish continuation, which we can manage to these lows, then yeah, we will take the sign of the market and start selling. Canadian dollar Swiss francs on the weekly time frame, again, we are sitting on the lows. We had the first reaction here. We failed to continue to the upside. Instead, we came back one more time with quite some momentum last week, tapped the low. We are trading above the low, just so slightly, and we did not get an immediate strong reaction. So right now the price action looks a bit again neutral. So we have here an area of interest, a liquidity area. So right now this could form an expanding for another leg to the downside. So that would make sense. We are here on the 4-hour time frame. So if we get a clear price action structure, reversal candlestick structure in this area, then yeah, we would have to sell it basically. However, if we get momentum and a push above outside this whole price action here and followed by bullish continuation, then we would change bias and start buying Canadian dollar against the Swiss francs. Pound Canadian dollar on the weekly time frame, we can see we do have still a room to the next higher time frame value area here, and we are here in a corrective squeeze. This is weekly time frame, and we just ever so slightly broke the previous high here to the left, and with a very strong bullish week. On the 4-hour time frame, we can see we have quite nice price action. We broke in form of a 1, 2, 3 expanding structure. We had very nice initial reaction. I did take a break even here on the 1-hour time frame. I was looking for a bearish continuation in this area. Instead, we came back up one more time, retested the high, and have now quite a strong bearish pressure. Again, we retraced more than 50% of this initial move, this very impulsive move. So right now I'm looking for price to form some form of continuation, bearish continuation on the lower time frame into these areas here. So basically, again, it's a neutral. We are in selling territory, but on the higher time frame would also make sense for a long continuation. So we have this liquidity area here. If we get some corrective price action into this area, and then we have a 1, 2, potential 3 bullish continuation, okay, we will take the next leg to the upside. And then again, if we get momentum here, bearish momentum followed by lower time frame continuation, that would show us that it might be at least a midterm sell in pound Canadian dollar. The more momentum we get here, the better. The longer price stays in this area, the more corrective price is, the more likely this becomes a middle section for the next leg to the upside. And NatGas on the weekly, we had this on watch last week. We discussed this structure going down to the 4-hour time frame. We had nice reaction. We were looking for actually a second touch in this area for a sell. We did not get that. Instead, price just dropped more or less the whole week, reaching the first initial target, and then now showing some strong bullish momentum reaction, and we have a liquidity area here which we now approach, and we had a very nice momentum run. So again, it's neutral, but it's a very nice area. If we see price breaking above followed by bearish continuation, then this would be a V-shaped recovery and we get the next leg to the downside. So this would be ideal in our overall more bearish bias. However, if we see price breaking above this area and we see a bullish continuation, price starting to stall above this area, then we know price is more likely to reach the high again, and we change bias and look for longs. So we most likely need a little bit patience early next week because a lot of pairs are positioned very interesting where technically both sides would make sense. So we have to wait for very clear price action confirmation before entering a trade. And we go into the third quarter. So yeah. Thanks for watching. See you next week. Bye bye.